guys, and welcome back to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Today, it is time for the monthly Instagram Q&A. That is where once a month, I put a picture on my Instagram account at Federico Talks Watches, the Q&A picture, and I, wait for you guys to ask me questions, and I answer quite a few of them here on YouTube. Of course, before we get started, customary wristwatch check. Today, I'm wearing the IWC Vintage Collection Laureus with the blue dial. You guys may know I am selling it. I figured I'd wear it one last time before I find it a new home. One of my favorite watches in my collection. Unfortunately, it's time to move on. I wanted my collection to evolve a little bit, and I have to move some pieces along. If you guys are interested in purchasing it, it is available for sale at delraywatch.com. Great condition, full box and papers, and one owner. Not to mention limited edition. But we have a lot more watches for sale there as well, if this isn't your cup of tea. delraywatch.com, link in the description below. So yeah, guys, here are the questions. If you see me staring downwards, I'm not being rude, I'm just reading them. Let's get started. The first one is from Talia Kism. Do you think the Rolex 16622, that is the last generation Yachmaster one, are going to go up in value? Well, Talia, I think yes. Yes, I do think so. It is currently the last of the 5-digit sports models to not really go up in value yet. Kind of considered a little bit of the ugly duckling of the Rolex sports range, even though I adore it personally, and it was invented originally to replace the Submariner, or as a more luxury version of the Submariner. I think it has nowhere to go but up. I think it is greatly undervalued at the moment. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but then again, there are very few Rolexes that I don't think are going to go up at least a little bit. But I think there's a lot of room on the 16622 to appreciate. Watch Medicine asks, H Moser or FP Journe for my money? Well, money being no object, I'd go FP Journe. But for my money, a man who is not rolling in it, I'd go Moser. I think the value with Moser is fantastic. For a fraction of the price of Journe, you get hot horology, small independent brand, fantastic movement and finishing, very cool cases, very limited production runs. You get a lot of what you get with Journe for a lot less money, but Journe is the top dog right now, I think. Carl Barucha. I've just started a job in the jewelry and watch industry. Congrats, Carl. And I'm the resident watch nerd at my store. What advice do you have for someone starting a career in watches? I'm absolutely obsessed with them, and this is my dream job. Well, Carl, first of all, congratulations. And you know what? I used to be the resident watch geek at every store I worked at. Never the top salesman, as I don't really have the killer instinct, and I'm more of a soft sell than a hard sell. But knowing watches is really, really important. There are a few pieces of advice I can give you. Number one, don't stop learning. Secondly, go to every single brand event you can. Brands that you carry, they're going to offer events, they're going to offer trainings. Go to those events. Meet the CEOs and presidents. Impress them. Sign up for every optional course and get together you can, because you never know where your next promotion is going to come from. And number three, most important in retail, is follow-up. Always follow up with your customers. Remember their birthdays. Remember their anniversaries. Remember their tastes. Send them a friendly handwritten note every now and then. You'd be surprised how far that goes, because they might not know watches. That's why you're there. But everybody knows what good customer service is. And that is by far the most important. You'll be surprised with a little follow-up how much your book of business can grow after a few years. Apart from that, Carl, it's tough. The watch industry is a little bit cutthroat. Very hard to get promoted. You have to really go the extra mile. And if that's what you're willing to do, then stick to it. And I think you'd be surprised how well you could do. HCL_ wrist shots says, as a young beginner collector, would you go vintage or new for your first luxury piece? In my case, Nomos Orion or Universal Geneve Pole Router. Might get a little hate for this, but I'm going to say absolutely go new. Vintage is very hard to navigate, very hard to tell what's original or not. Excuse my language, very hard to know what's been effed with or not. And it's just not a great place to start learning. The Nomos Orion is a fantastic watch for a beginner. It's not too complicated, but it is in-house. It's a very well-made watch for the money, and it's a watch geek piece. The UG pole router, also fantastic, but it's just too much can go wrong. It's more fragile. Are all the parts original? Has the dial been refinished? Who's going to service it when it breaks? Do you have a warranty? All that stuff. Honestly, I don't hate vintage, but as a beginner collector, this question is extremely easy to answer. Go new, or at least go modern. Watch_Journey. What is your favorite Patek Phillipe? This one's hard. It keeps changing all the time. But I think at the moment it's the Patek Phillipe 5205 annual calendar. Not everybody's favorite, not the most valuable annual calendar, but I find it charming. I love it particularly in white gold. I love the sector dial. I love the moon phase. Everybody knows I'm a sucker for a moon phase, at least if you watch this channel. And it's a modern size as well. 40 millimeters, doesn't get much bigger in Patek Philippe, and I can actually wear it. Chaos McCain says, what jewelry insurance company would you recommend for watches? And have you had any experience when it comes to filing a claim? Actually, I'm going through a five-figure insurance claim right now. It's not a lot of fun. It takes a lot of time, and hopefully I'm covered, But insurance is very important. As a private individual, I recommend Chubb, CHUBB. I am not sponsored by them. I've actually never even used them personally, as I have corporate insurance right now. But I know a lot of collectors that use Chubb, and they're easy to work with, I've heard, and they pay out fairly quickly. Insurance is important, but it's also very important to see what covers you in the broadest sense. Anyway, forget about insurance. I don't want to talk about it anymore. A Rolex 11. If you meet someone with a Grand Seiko or a Rolex Submariner, who will have more logical intellect? Well, it's hard to say, and it's purely hypothetical, but I'm willing to bet 95% of the time the guy with Grand Seiko. Lots of people own a Rolex Sub. I own a Rolex Sub, and I also don't own a Grand Seiko. Lots of non-watch geeks own Rolex Subs, but mostly only watch geeks own Grand Seikos. If you're wearing a Grand Seiko, you spend that kind of money for a brand that's so much less known than Rolex. Chances are you did your research and you're a horology lover, and you can appreciate Grand Seiko. Rolex, lots of Rolex lovers, lots of really smart Rolex owners, but not every Rolex owner is a watch geek. Let's see here. Oh, another question by HCL Wrist Shots. I didn't even notice I put you in twice. Whew. HCL Wrist Shot says, what is the modern trinity of fine watchmaking, not only Swiss? Well, unfortunately, I think my trinity is Swiss. Not my trinity, but I think the unmistakable trinity today would be Patek Philippe, Rolex, and FP Journe. Three most collectible brands, three very in-demand watches, all in-house, all extremely high quality. If you argue Rolex is not fine watchmaking, then maybe I'd put Lange up there. You could argue Voutilainen, or you could argue George Daniels or Dufour. I think those guys are too small to be in any trinity. I think their watches are fantastic, but you have to have a little bit of a commercial heft and supply to be in the Holy Trinity. So, I would say Patek Philippe, Rolex, FP Journe. MWBWTW, lots of letters. Says, hey Fed, I wanted your input on Maserati versus Mercedes. You've owned both. At the end, which one have you found more inspiring to drive? Well, this is an easy question. Let me start off by saying Mercedes is a better car. The electronics work better. The parking sensors work better. The leather interior, while not as pretty, it wears better. However, the Maserati is 1,000 times more fun to drive. I find it more beautiful. The exhaust note is amazing. Crazy turbo lag, but that is also a ton of fun. It's a more connected car. However, my infotainment system consistently freezes. I've only got 4,000 miles on the car, and the interior is already showing wear. And yeah, I can definitely see the Maserati falling apart in 10 years. But fun to drive and short-term ownership experience, Maserati all the way. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. That's it for the Q&A. Thank you to everybody for participating. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It really does help. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any content. Guys, thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.